Jai Hind everyone, myself Dr. Vanna Sharma from Ajay Kumar Garg Engineering College. The subject which I am teaching, that subject is Engineering Physics and the subject code is KS101T. The topic which I have started, that is electromagnetic field theory. So electromagnetic field theory, or you can say electromagnetics, it is a combination of electrostatics and magnetostatics. And it means in electromagnetics we are dealing with the charges which are at rest as well as charges which are in motion or which are moving. It means we are dealing with both type of charges, charges which are at rest as well as charges which are moving. And I have already told you that why we are discussing this electromagnetic field theory, because it is having tremendous applications in different fields, and especially in the field of communication, where the information is traveling in the form of electromagnetic radiation or in the form of a optical signal. In that case, we want to know that how the signal or how the light radiations, they are propagating, they are moving in a certain medium. So in order to understand their propagation mechanism, we require this electromagnetic field theory. So we have already discussed a few topics in this electromagnetic field theory. So what are the topics which we have discussed, and what is the topic for today's discussion, that I will show in this slide. So the topics which are there under this electromagnetic field theory, those topics are, the first topic is this one, that is continuity equation. So we have already discussed about this continuity equation. Basically this continuity equation that represents law of conservation of charge. But before that we have discussed about the basic concepts which are involved in this electromagnetic field theory. So we have discussed about very important three operators, that is gradient, divergence and curl, and then we have discussed about two theorems. One is Gauss divergence theorem and the second one is Stokes theorem. Now how we are going to use those theorems here, that we will discuss in detail in today's topic. So continuity equation that represents law of conservation of charge. So we have already discussed this equation. Basically this equation is the differential form of I equals to minus dq upon dt, means charge that remains conserved, it can never be created, not be destroyed. So that was our first topic. Second one, we have discussed about the displacement current. So in this we have discussed that in addition to the normal conduction current, which is due to moving charges, we are having one more type of current which is there because of time varying electric field. So whenever you have a time varying electric field, a changing electric field, then because of that time varying electric field, there will be a magnetic field. And whenever you have a magnetic field, you can say there is current. So the current which is there due to time varying electric field, that type of current is known as your displacement current. And we have explained this concept with the help of a parallel plate capacitor. As you can recall your last lecture, we have taken two closed loops C1 and C2, one in connecting wires and the other one that was present in between the two plates of parallel plate capacitor. After that, what we have done, we have applied that Ampere's law in order to explain that magnetic field for loop C1 as well as C2. But what we have observed there, that Ampere's law that can explain this magnetic field for the connecting wires, but it cannot explain the presence of magnetic field between the two plates of parallel plate capacitor where there is no actual flow of electrons. So there we have discussed that a time varying electric field is responsible for the magnetic field, and whenever there is magnetic field we can say there is current. So we have discussed about this displacement current in detail in our last lecture, and now today we are going to discuss our Maxwell equations, which are the heart of this electromagnetic field theory. And using those Maxwell equations, we will try to satisfy this continuity equation. So this is today's topic. So let me start this. So Maxwell equations, basically these equations, they were given by Maxwell, that's why the name is Maxwell equations is given. And these equations, they are actually the differential form of four basic laws of electrostatics and magnetostatics. right? As you know, electrostatics, it is based upon certain principles, certain laws, like Gauss law in electrostatics. Magnetostatics, that is also based upon certain principles like Gauss law in magnetostatics. So you have Gauss law in electrostatics, you have Gauss law in magnetostatics, you have Faraday's law of electromagnetic induction, you have modified Ampere's law. So using these four laws, what I have mentioned, first I have mentioned Gauss law in electrostatics, then I have mentioned about Gauss law in magnetostatics, then the third one is Faraday's law of electromagnetic induction, and the fourth one is modified Ampere's law. Using these four laws, these four laws, when they are written in differential form, those four equations will become Maxwell equations. So what are Maxwell equations? Actually, Maxwell equations are nothing new. That is only the differential form of four different laws of electrostatics and magnetostatics. So as I mentioned here, Maxwell equations are a set of four differential equations. So actually Maxwell equations are differential equations that form the theoretical basis of describing classical electromagnetism. So these equations are the base of electromagnetic field theory. Maxwell equations are based upon the laws such as Gauss law of electrostatics, as I mentioned, Gauss law of magnetostatics, Faraday's law of electromagnetic induction, and Ampere's law. So actually we are going to use this actual modified Ampere's law here. You know that Ampere's law that states that closed line integral of magnetic field is mu naught times the current enclosed. So you know that the current is not only the conduction current, there is one more factor, one more type of current which is known as your displacement current, and that displacement current is due to a time varying electric field. So what you are going to do, you are going to use that modified Ampere's law which we have discussed in our previous lecture. So Maxwell equations, what are these equations? These equations are nothing but these equations are the differential form of these four laws mentioned in this particular paragraph. First equation, that is the differential form of Gauss law of electrostatics. Second one, that is the differential form of Gauss law of magnetostatics. Third one, differential form of Faraday's law of electromagnetic induction, and the fourth one, that is the differential form of Ampere's law, right? Now how you will write those equations in differential form, that we will derive here, or we will try to solve those equations, or we will try to write those equations in differential form. So there are four fundamental equations of electromagnetic field. These are known as Maxwell equations, and these equations are listed here. So I am going to start with our first equation. So you have to understand the process through which you are going to write those laws in differential form. So if you can understand that process for one particular law, then on the similar lines you can write all these four laws in differential form. So that process is important, you have to understand that process. So I am starting with your first Maxwell equation. So the first point is, you should know from which law you are going to derive or you are going to write that equation. So as I have mentioned that your first Maxwell equation, that is a differential form of Gauss law in electrostatics. So from your previous class you know that Gauss law in electrostatics, that states total electric flux over a closed surface is always equal to 1 upon epsilon naught times the total charge enclosed. This is your Gauss law in electrostatics, and that equation number 1, what is that equation? Actually it is a mathematical form of that Gauss law in electrostatics. So first point is, you should know from where you are getting the equation. So you are getting this first Maxwell equation from the Gauss law in electrostatics, and Gauss law in electrostatics states that total electric flux, flux is represented by this phi E here. So that total electric flux over a closed surface is 1 upon epsilon naught times the total charge enclosed. So flux, that is surface integral of E. So you can write that Gauss law in electrostatics using your equation number 1. Now the next step is, try to write or try to represent each and every term except the constants and operator in integral form, means you have to write all the terms of this equation in integral form. So left hand side, that is already in integral form, flux is surface integral of E, and you can see on the right hand side you have 1 upon epsilon naught times the total charge enclosed. Now our objective is to write this charge in integral form. So you have to write this Q in integral form. I hope you are getting the steps through which you are going to write this Gauss law in electrostatics in differential form. First step is, first explain your law from where you are getting the equation. So the law is Gauss law in electrostatics, which states that total electric flux over a closed surface is 1 upon epsilon naught times the total charge enclosed. Next step is represent each and every term except constants in integral form. So left hand side, whenever you have flux, electric flux, you will represent it as surface integral of E. If you have magnetic flux, you will represent that as surface integral of B dot ds. So now you have right hand side and you have to represent that right hand side in integral form. For this, I am taking this arbitrary surface here, right? And here we are going to choose a small volume element, and let dV is the volume of this small volume element, and let the charge dQ that is flowing through this small volume element, right? You have the small volume element with volume dV, dQ is the charge flowing through the small volume element, and if rho is the volume charge density, so you know the volume charge density, that is charge over volume. So for this rho will be equal to dQ upon dV. So if rho is dQ upon dV, so what is dQ? It will be rho dV. I hope you are getting this point. You have the small volume element with volume dV, dQ is the charge flowing. So the volume charge density is charge over volume. So dQ upon dV, so you can represent dQ as rho dV. So this is a small amount of charge flowing through that volume element. So if you want to write the total charge, what you have to do? You have to take the integral of this dQ. So that will be equal to volume integral of this rho. It means you can always represent this charge as volume integral of rho. So whenever you want to represent the charge flowing through a volume element with volume charge density rho, you can write that charge as volume integral of rho. That is a representation for this charge, right, enclosed in a particular surface. Q is equal to rho dV. So next step is, what you have to do? You have to represent each and every term in integral form. So you have surface integral of E as 1 upon epsilon naught Q, and Q can be written as volume integral of rho. And how you are getting that? That I have given the explanation here. So where Q is volume integral of rho. I hope this particular point is clear, right? So electric flux, that is always represented as surface integral of E. Charge is always represented as volume integral of rho. Next step. Now you have a surface integral on left hand side and a volume integral on right hand side. So what I am trying to explain here, you have from equation number 2 surface integral of E, this E ds, surface integral of E, that is 1 upon epsilon naught times volume integral of rho. 1 upon epsilon naught is constant, so you can simply write it as volume integral of rho by epsilon naught. I hope this is clear that from 2 you can easily write this equation, that surface integral of E is volume integral of rho by epsilon naught. Now this equation states that this surface integral is equal to this volume integral. So you have a surface integral on left hand side and a volume integral on right hand side, and this equation suggests that this surface integral is equal to this volume integral. So this is surface integral, whereas this one is volume integral. So it is not easy to compare these two. So our job will be more easier if both on both the sides of this equation we are having similar type of integral. So according to Gauss divergence theorem, you can convert this surface integral into volume integral. I have already mentioned when we have discussed about the basic concepts that Gauss Divergence theorem that can always convert a surface integral into a volume integral. So now our job is to convert this surface integral into volume integral. So according to the statement of Gauss Divergence theorem, this surface integral of E that will be equal to volume integral of divergence of E. And one more point I would like to highlight here, this del is a vector because it is a vector differential operator. So there is sign of that, there is vector notation over this. If I am not writing it here, that is understood that there del is a vector and there is an arrow on this. So this surface integral of E is equal to volume integral of divergence of E, right? Now substitute this surface integral as volume integral in this equation. Then you will get volume integral on both the sides. Then the comparison will be easier. So when you will substitute this, what you will get? Substituting in equation number 2, you are getting this will be volume integral of divergence of E, which will be equal to volume integral of rho by epsilon naught. So you have a volume integral here, which is volume integral of rho by epsilon naught, and you have a volume integral here. And according to this equation, these two volume integrals are equal. So you have two different terms. Let the first term is x and the second term is y. So the volume integral of x is equal to volume integral of y. That is according to the equation. If this is the case, then x should be equal to y. So according to this equation, volume integral of divergence of E is equal to volume integral of rho by epsilon naught. So that is possible if del dot E is equal to rho by epsilon naught, right? So if you will compare these two parts of this particular equation, what is the conclusion? The conclusion is divergence of E is rho by epsilon naught. So this divergence of E equals to rho by epsilon naught. This is your Maxwell first equation, right? And you can also represent this equation as divergence of this epsilon naught is constant. You can multiply it with E. So you are getting divergence of epsilon naught E is equal to rho. And this particular epsilon naught into E, this is known as displacement vector. And it is represented by capital D here. Give me 1 minute. This is represented by capital D, known as displacement vector. So this is this particular equation that will become del dot D is equal to rho. So you can represent your Maxwell equation as del dot E equals to rho upon epsilon naught, and in terms of D, you can also write this equation del dot D is equal to rho. So this is your first Maxwell equation, and if you will carefully see this equation, then this equation is nothing. This is differential form of Gauss law this is differential form of Gauss law in electrostatics. From here you are getting this equation, right? So now I am explaining all the steps. The first step is you should know from which law you are getting the equation. So you are getting this equation from Gauss law in electrostatics. So according to that, first you have to mention that law, that according to Gauss law in electrostatics, total electric flux over a closed surface is 1 upon epsilon naught times the total charge enclosed. Next step, represent that law in mathematical form. So this is a mathematical form. Next step, try to represent each and every term except constant in integral form. So left hand side is already in integral form. On right hand side you have 1 upon epsilon naught, that is constant, and charge Q, that is represented as volume integral of rho. So how you are getting that? That I have already explained. So you are getting surface integral of E as equal to volume integral of rho by epsilon naught. You have a surface integral on left hand side and you have a volume integral on right hand side. So if you want to compare those two terms, you have to convert the lower integral into higher integral. Means you have to convert this surface integral into volume integral, and you know you have that Gauss divergence theorem which can convert a surface integral into a volume integral. So we have applied that theorem and from there you are getting surface integral of E as volume integral of divergence of E. Now substitute back in this particular equation, then you are getting volume integral of divergence of E is volume integral of rho by epsilon naught. Two volume integrals are there and both are equal to each other. So that is possible if the terms for which you are taking the volume integral, if those terms are equal. So from there you are getting divergence of E is rho by epsilon naught. What is this divergence? What is this del? Del is vector differential operator. It means this equation is in differential form. This is a differential operator here. So when you will solve it, it will be in differential form. So that is the reason this first Maxwell equation, that is actually the differential form of Gauss law in electrostatics. So this is the method to write any particular law in differential form. Clear? So next point is, we will try to understand that what is the significance of this Maxwell equation. So the significance of this Maxwell equation is, actually what is this equation? This equation is actually the differential form of Gauss law in electrostatics. It means this equation is actually representing Gauss law in electrostatics. So according to Gauss law in electrostatics, the total electric flux over a closed surface is 1 upon epsilon naught times the total charge enclosed, right? So actually the law, from where you are getting that equation, from where you are writing that equation, that law itself is the significance of equation, because that equation is nothing, that equation is differential form of Gauss law in electrostatics. So this is the physical significance. And next point is integral form of Maxwell equation and differential form. So this is known as integral form of Maxwell equation. Why I am saying this is integral form? Because your Maxwell first equation is derived from Gauss law in electrostatics, and in Gauss law in electrostatics, this side is representing the electric flux equal to 1 upon epsilon naught times the total charge enclosed. You have represented the charge in integral form. This electric flux is also in integral form. So each and every part is in integral form. So this is known as integral form of Maxwell equation. So if you are getting a question in the examination like this, that write the integral form of Maxwell first equation, then you have to mention it. Clear? And the differential form, you know, del dot E is equal to rho by epsilon naught. That is the differential form. Or you can also write this Maxwell first equation in terms of D. So you can also represent it as del dot D is equal to rho. So this is your first Maxwell equation and its significance, its integral as well as a differential form. So I hope this is clear. Now we are moving ahead. We are going to write our second Maxwell equation. So first point is that you have to understand that from where you are getting your second Maxwell equation. So you know that your second Maxwell equation is differential form of Gauss law in magnetostatics. Clear? So what is your Gauss law in magnetostatics? According to this, the isolated magnetic poles cannot exist. Means if you are having a magnet and if you are dividing that magnet into small pieces, suppose you are dividing that magnet into 10 pieces, then each and every piece that itself will behave like a magnet. Means there will be a north pole as well as a south pole. So magnetic monopole does not exist. So according to Gauss law in magnetostatics, total magnetic flux over a closed surface is always equal to 0, right? So magnetic induction across any closed surface is always 0. The meaning of this is total magnetic flux over a closed surface is always equal to 0. Means if you are having a closed surface, then the magnetic flux lines which are entering that particular surface will be exactly equal to number of lines leaving that surface. So total magnetic flux over a closed surface is always 0. And you know that magnetic flux, whenever you want to represent this magnetic flux in integral form, then you can write it as surface integral of B. So as I have told you that what are the steps to write Maxwell equations. First step is you have to explain the law from where you are getting the equation. So you know the law is Gauss law and magnetostatics for second Maxwell equation. So you have explained that. Now next one is you have to write the mathematical form of that equation, that law. So this is the mathematical form. Total magnetic flux over a closed surface is 0. In integral form, you can write it as surface integral of B is equal to 0. Since your Maxwell equations are differential equations, and you can see in equation number 1 that there is no other term which you can write in integral form, but you know that somehow you have to convert this equation in differential form. You have to obtain that differential form here. So in order to get that, what you are going to do? You have to apply Gauss divergence theorem, because if you will apply Gauss divergence theorem, only then you can convert this equation number 1 into a differential form, right? I hope you are understanding what I am trying to say here. According to Gauss divergence theorem, what you have, the surface integral of B, that is equal to volume integral of divergence of B. The surface integral of any vector, that will be equal to volume integral of divergence of that vector. So since I am trying to write this equation in differential form, so this left hand side, which is surface integral of B, that according to divergence theorem will be volume integral of divergence of B. And from equation number 1, this particular term is equal to 0. It means this volume integral of divergence of B, that is also equal to 0. So when you are substituting back in this equation, you are getting volume integral of divergence of B is equal to 0. And since the volume integral of this particular term del dot B is 0, so the conclusion is that this del dot B should be 0, only then this is possible. So the conclusion from here, that del dot B is 0. So what is this? Actually this is the differential form of this particular equation. This is your Gauss law and magnetostatics, and now we have converted it into differential form. This is integral form and this is differential form. So what is your second Maxwell equation? That second Maxwell equation is only the differential form of your Gauss law and magnetostatics. So this is differential form of Gauss law in magnetostatics, which can be further written as, because capital B, that is magnetic flux density, you can write it as mu naught H, and this mu naught is known as permeability here. So further the conclusion is del dot H is equal to 0. So if you want to write in terms of B, then this is del dot B is equal to 0. In terms of H, you can write del dot H is equal to 0. So these are two different forms of Maxwell's second equation. So I hope now it is clear what is your second Maxwell equation. Second Maxwell equation is actually the differential form of Gauss law in magnetostatics. And your Gauss law in magnetostatics, that states that total magnetic flux over a closed surface is always 0. So for next step is you have to write the integral form. So this is the integral form of Gauss law in magnetostatics. Now you can see here that there is no other term which you want to write in integral form. On left hand side you have already integral form, on right hand side you have 0 there. But you know that Maxwell equations are actually the differential form of these basic laws. So how you can convert this left hand side in a differential form? That is your Gauss law in electrostatics, sorry, that is your Gauss divergence theorem. After applying that theorem, you are getting this. So this term will be 0 according to 1. So from there you are getting del dot B 0 or del dot H equal to 0. Now next question arises that what is the significance of this equation? So actually the law from where you are getting this equation, that itself is the significance of this equation. So significance is that total magnetic flux over a closed surface is always equal to 0. So that is the significance, and the total magnetic flux across any closed surface is always 0, or magnetic poles do not, rather there should be monopoles here. A magnetic monopole do not exist. Integral form is B dot ds is equal to 0. You know why I am saying it is integral form? Because each and every term is in the integral form, and differential form is del dot B is equal to 0, and you can write it as del dot H is equal to 0. So that's all about your second Maxwell equation. So first equation, as you have seen there, that equation is derived from Gauss law in electrostatics. Second equation, you have seen that equation is derived from Gauss law in magnetostatics. Now the next one is your third Maxwell equation. So the first point arises that from where you are getting this equation. So actually your third Maxwell equation, that is a differential form of Faraday's law of electromagnetic induction. Clear? So what is your Faraday's law of electromagnetic induction? Your Faraday's law of electromagnetic induction is that rate of change of magnetic flux is always equal to induced EMF, and that EMF will get induced in a direction opposite to the applied field. So that is the significance of this negative sign. I hope you can recall this Faraday law of electromagnetic induction. You have already discussed it in your previous classes. So according to Faraday's law of electromagnetic induction, you have this rate of change of magnetic flux is equal to induced EMF, right? Now this third Maxwell equation is actually the differential form of this Faraday law of electromagnetic induction. So our first step is to write that law. So you know what is that law, and you have written the mathematical form there, that E is equal to minus d phi b by dt. Now next step is represent each and every term in integral form. So now our purpose is to represent this EMF of which is there on left hand side in integral form, and minus d phi b by dt. This d by dt is constant, that is an operator, so you cannot write that operator in any other form, but you have this term magnetic flux here. So you know that EMF that is in integral form, it can be written as line integral of E. You can always represent EMF or potential difference as line integral of E. Whereas you also know that magnetic flux is always equal to surface integral of B. So you know the integral form of EMF, as well as you also know the integral form of that magnetic flux. So now we are going to represent all these terms in integral form. So what you are getting here? EMF is line integral of E equals to minus d by dt of phi b, and you know phi b is surface integral of B. So as I mentioned here, so you are getting this. Now the next point is, give me 1 minute. Next point is, you have this d by dt you have this d by dt here, which is a differential operator. You are differentiating with respect to t. Now this operator is applicable over this particular term, right? And here you are having a surface integral of B. Then you are taking derivative with respect to t. So you are having two different operators there. Just try to understand the meaning what I am explaining here. This is d by dt, means it is a differential operator, differentiation with respect to t, and this operator is integral or surface integral. So this operator is integral operator or surface integral, whereas this one is differential operator and it is differentiation with respect to t. It means you are having two independent operators, right? And both the operators, they are applicable over same term. So if you are having a term and you are applying two independent operators over that particular term, so it doesn't matter that which operator you are applying first. Means if you are having these two independent operators here and they are applied over a same term, so you can always interchange those operators, because the interchange of those operators doesn't going to change the meaning of this term. It means we can interchange these operators. So if you will interchange, then you can write it as surface integral of minus del B by del T. I hope this point is clear. And why I am writing the partial derivative here? Reason is because this differential operator, that is with respect to T, but this magnetic flux density, that also depends upon space coordinates, but you are differentiating only with respect to a single term, that is T. So that's why I am writing partial derivative here. So after interchanging these operators, you are getting this line integral of E is equal to surface integral of minus del B by del T. I hope this is clear. I am again repeating because this point is very important. This third Maxwell equation, that is derived from Faraday's law of electromagnetic induction, which you know, this is rate of change of magnetic flux is equal to induced EMF, and that EMF will get induced in a direction opposite to the applied field. So that is the significance of negative sign. Then EMF, that is line integral of E, magnetic flux, that is surface integral of B, two independent operators applied on a same term, you can interchange those operators. So we have interchange, and then we are reaching at this equation number 2. So line integral of E is now equal to surface integral of minus del B by del T. So you have a line integral here and a surface integral, and you know the drill. What you have to do, you have to convert the lower integral into a higher integral or upper integral. So you have to convert this line integral into a surface integral, and you know how you can do that. That can be done using Stokes theorem. So what is your Stokes theorem? According to this, the line integral of any vector A, that will be equal to surface integral of curl of that vector, right? So if you have a vector, and if you are taking the line integral of that vector A, that according to Stokes theorem will be equal to surface integral of curl of A. So using the same statement, the line integral of E, that will be equal to surface integral of curl of E. So substitute back in this equation number 2. What you are getting? You are getting surface integral of curl of E equal to surface integral of minus del B by del T. You have a surface integral here, and that surface integral is equal to surface integral of this term. So you have surface integral of this equal to surface integral of this, and that is possible if the terms for which you are taking the surface integral, if those terms are equal. So what is the conclusion then? The conclusion is curl of E is equal to minus del B by del T. And what is this? It is actually the differential form of your Faraday's law of electromagnetic induction, right? Because you can see here that if you will solve it, you will get the differential form here, differential equation here. So this is your Maxwell third equation, right? And you can also write this equation as del cross E equal to minus del B by del T, that B is mu naught into H. So this is in free space. You can write mu naught here because that is a permeability in free space, but for a particular medium you have to write the permeability of that medium. So del cross E is minus mu naught del H upon del T. So these are the two different forms of Maxwell third equation. So now the physical significance. So you know what is the significance of this Maxwell third equation. So actually the law from where you are deriving that equation, that is a significance. So Maxwell third equation represents Faraday's law of electromagnetic induction and signifies that an electric field is produced by a changing magnetic field. Why this is written over here? Answer is here. What is this? This is your time varying magnetic field. So this time varying magnetic field is giving us electric field. Means a time varying magnetic field can always give you electric field. So that is the significance of your third Maxwell equation. I hope this is clear. According to Faraday's law of electromagnetic induction, a time varying magnetic flux is giving you EMF. In other words, you can say a time varying magnetic field is giving you electric field, because EMF is related to electric field and this magnetic flux is related to magnetic field, right? So now the differential and integral form. So the differential integral form is this and differential form is this, either in this form or in this form. I hope this is clear. Why this is integral form? Because each and every term of this law Now it is written in integral form. EMF, that is line integral of E, equal to minus d upon dt of phi b. Phi b is surface integral of B, and after interchanging operators you are getting this. So as you can see here, each and every term is integral form. So this is your integral form of third Maxwell equation. Differential form, del cross E is equal to minus del B by del T, or you can say del cross E is equal to minus mu naught del H upon del T. So this is your third Maxwell equation. Now in our next lecture we will derive our fourth Maxwell equation, and then with the help of that fourth Maxwell equation we will derive equation of continuity. So I hope these three equations are clear to you. First equation, that is from Gauss law in electrostatics, second from Gauss law in magnetostatics, third one from Faraday law of electromagnetic induction. So next lecture we will derive our fourth Maxwell equation. So that's all for today. Thank you so much.